Girişimcilik Girişimcilik ekosistemi İstanbul Büyükşehir Belediyesi ile harekete geçiyor. 1 Temmuz Perşembe günü dijital ikili görüşmelerde benzersiz bir deneyim yaşa, yeni insanlarla tanış, fikirlerini paylaş, işini ve ağını geliştir. hareketegeçir.com.
Fantastic. So great to be here. So I'm Peter, and I'm here with Aviv from Bilgileri Games, and we're going to talk about fun learning from Finland today. So I'm a local entrepreneur here in Finland, here in the finest Bay Area, as we like to call it. And if Finland is known for one thing, I would say that it's education. So this is something that we've been working on for many, many years. And I think that we've been very, very successful with our educational approach and our educational system. And if you look at then what is so magical and like what is different about how we do education here in Finland, I think that maybe one way of looking at that is that we're always talking about the fact that it's about learning, not teaching. So that is, you know, like very subtle, but it's like very important thing. And all of our teachers are experts in that. So they have a master's degree in education. So no matter if they're a kindergarten teacher or a high school teacher or like any teacher, they always have a master's degree from the university. So they really are very good pedagogues, and their job is really to help the students learn. I think that is kind of like one way of looking at it. It's very important. And also then if you look at the education here, one thing that is interesting always when we have people moving from outside world to Finland, and if they have young kids, then they go to kindergarten, and typically then the parents pretty quickly get concerned that, hey, wait a minute, you're not like teaching the kids anything. They are just like playing and having fun. And yeah, it might look like that from the outside, but actually they are learning. And as I said, all the kindergarten teachers have a master's degree. They know very well what they are doing. But this is actually how we all learn. I mean, young people, old people, we learn through play. That is a very human way of learning. And that is the way we do, our education here in Finland. And also another concern always then is that, but wait a minute, you have very short school days and my kids don't have like any homework or hardly any homework. That, that can be like really good. But actually then if you look at the results, it's actually very good. And here we also have this approach that you're learning for life, not for tests. So this is something that I think is very important. And okay, the teachers have a master's degree in education, but they are still normal people. So I think that this is also that it's not like you put the teacher on some kind of pedestal and, like look up to him or her, but it's actually, the teachers are people just like you and me, me and Aviv here. So that's, and in fact, actually, Aviv is a music teacher, so he's like also like a real teacher. But anyway, I think this is something that is very important if you look at like education here in Finland. So it really is important that we don't take the fun out of learning. I think that we all know that if we're enjoying what we are doing, be it studying or working, the results are much better. It's as simple as that. If you are motivated, if you have the willingness, the hunger to learn, you will learn. And then of course we should make sure that it's a great experience. So then the results will be fantastic. But anyway, that's kind of like maybe a little bit of background to education here in Finland. But today we'll talk about fun learning from Finland. And Aviv is from Bilgileri Games. He's the founder and CEO. And maybe we could start with Aviv sharing a little bit of his personal story, because I think that is a very good example of what we're talking about today, and that the fact that you should enjoy, actually ideally love what you do. So Aviv, maybe you could tell us a little bit about you and what you are doing and your background.
Right. Okay, so thank you, Peter, for the introduction. And hello, everybody out there listening. I'm very happy that we have this opportunity to present the fun learning attitude from Finland and our experience. As Peter mentioned, maybe it will be a good start with my own personal story. So I was, as a child, attracted very much to music, right? Like, tell me who is not attracted to music and who is not enjoying being indulged with music activities. So, but I took it a bit more seriously, I guess. I was very hungry for it. As again, Peter was using this hunger for information, for skills, etc. So I went through a whole education through my study years, in primary school and high school, as a side thing for the school, right? So I didn't focus it on the normal school. And later on, I thought, okay, this is going to be a very serious hobby for me for the rest of my life. And then I studied the computer sciences. That was very interesting for me also, but chose not to continue with it and to pursue a career in medicine. So I studied to be a medical doctor and worked in it for quite a few years. But at some point, the love to music, or the virus, call it if you wish, came back, and the fever for it was really strong. And I started studying again a bit on the side, as a serious hobby again. But to make the long story short, this took me now really strongly. And at some point, I actually started teaching music, not as an official music teacher, but more as just replacement of my own teachers, etc. But slowly, it grew and grew, and I became a teacher. Also because I think, because I was so enthusiastic about it, right? And what I had to offer was something that was different than the usual. So after teaching for about 20 years, usually more professional level, but also in informal setups, etc., I knew that now I'm very much into it, but more than that, I recognize also some problems or some issues that students or people that were interested in music were facing. One big thing there was, and we have to consider now that everybody loves music, right? Like 99.9%. Also, 99.9% are convinced that music is difficult skill to purchase, to pursue. And this is where I started having problem with this kind of attitude, because I definitely don't believe that it's so difficult. I think for me it was easy. You don't have to make it difficult also. But it seems like that the music teaching system was actually making it difficult for people to pursue that. And then I thought, okay, I need to do something, right? I need to simplify it or make it more available to so many people out there that are wishing. Actually, it's a dream for quite many of us to be able to engage with music skills learning, either an instrument or composing, or at some point of their lives. And this dream is not dying, it seems like, right? It's always there. It's something that is basically coming from the childhood and stay with you, either you studied music or not. And the point was how to make it available for especially the young generation, right? The new generation that is so different than us, right? And one thing that I thought, okay, like we all started from fun, right? Having fun, making music, dealing with music. And the point was that how can we actually bring the fun into the learning? So one strong point was like a gaming, a gaming environment where you actually engaged in a very strong way with something that you do. And in our case, it's like skills learning. And beside that, there was also the story back at the day that, of course, mobile devices are becoming so important in our lives, right? More than that, they are also available for us at any point. Some people might say that we are available for them, right? But they are available for us at any point of time or place. This also brings into the equation something that maybe was considered to be the main focus in music learning, which was the instrument, right? So you need to learn an instrument if you want to be involved with music. Today we know that you don't need necessarily the traditional instruments, right? And you can do music also on your phone or on your iPad or a tablet. And why not? You know, not anyone can afford even to have a musical instrument, not to talk about the times that you need to sit in front of it and to allow you or to give yourself the opportunity to learn it. So this is something that that we were looking at very strongly. And the idea is now how to make it available to anyone out there, right? Again, when you have a mobile software, it's very easy. And this was our main focus, not even to make it available first for PCs, but more for mobile. So anyone can do it. Anyone can be engaged with it in the levels that they would like to be engaged. And so this is the story where how Big Ear Games actually started, right? With the idea to bring music creativity to anyone out there that is interested, and to simplify it and to make it fun. So right now we are still developing the game. It's already out there, so people are playing it already, actually all over the world, and we get great feedback for it. But the most important is that it's not only about the game, right? So we are working now quite strongly on different kind of channels, like multi-channel attitude to engage people with music learning or creativity or such. And I will just give one example. You all heard about TikTok, right? So usually people think, TikTok is for just total fun, you know, etc., right? But what we are starting to prove now is that people actually can start learning and be engaged in music creativity in a very short span of videos, right? That are very short, but asking you to be involved and to be engaged with, like, hey, like there's a musical challenge out there and I want to solve it because it's interesting for me. So we now see that youngsters are really interested in that. And that's a great thing to prove, because if you think about it in TikTok, for example, just as an example of the media in general, we are competing on the time, on the attention of people, not only with other music apps, but the attention of people now, or the competition is with anything that makes them open the phone and be engaged with it, be it social media, be it games, apps to learn something or whatever. And so TikTok for us, or the success in TikTok, is a proof that actually we can get the attention of those youngsters and engage them more than all, because they have to do something, they have to respond, they have to solve some music challenges. So what I'm trying to say here is that that brings me also to one point, that as a teacher, I was a music teacher for about 20 years, right? A big change happened about 10 years ago when we started noticing different attitude of the new generation in the ways they learn. And Peter said it before, right? We are not here to teach, we are here to show them how they can learn and to support their learning. That's the most important part. And so for years, I was complaining about the new generation, how they are not going anywhere, right? Like that they don't know how to learn, that we were best, we were sitting with books, we could go through A to Z, etc. I think that about 2-3 years ago, a token had been fallen in my brain, and this token was like, hey, wake up. The past is not gonna repeat itself, right? Go with the flow, try to see how can you actually support them, because that's where I started anyway, right? And this is a journey. This is a journey that I think the educational system in general and teachers specifically need to face right now, and it's not easy. I have to say it's not easy. We were in contact with Big Ear Games. We were in contact with many different teachers in many different countries and many different cultures. And one thing is very clear, is that it's not easy to let go of a method or methods that you were using for many years and proved to be good and okay and successful, but they are not working anymore, right? So how do we make this, how do we go over this gap, you know, and try to make the best out of this generation when we know that they actually are able to do many things that we were not able to do back in the day. I'm saying back in the day, you know, it could be 10 years ago, it could be 60 years ago, right? And I think this is the main challenge right now, to see how we are understanding them, actually. That's the first step. The second step is to see what kind of tools would be the best to bring in and to make the best out of the education system in general, all the learning process, as we call it. So when we say fun, it might not always be fun for the, especially for the teachers or for the people who are planning that, right? Because it needs a lot of work. But on the other hand, I have a feeling that when teachers and the system and the educational system understand the new generation better, we will get better results. In Finland, we have a great environment where not only new methods are all the time pushed into testing, but every teacher is free to use the methods that he or she feels appropriate to her classroom.
Yeah.
So,
but also I think one thing that is very important, if you look at now what is going on, is that if you look at things like okay, the Big Ear Games, so you can learn you know, kind of like how music works, you can learn how to make music, and we have a lot of examples in many domains where, again, when we bring together the best pedagogues and we bring together the best pedagogues with the best game designers, then we can design these kind of amazing learning experiences around games. Like, you know, Big Ear is a good example of that, but there are quite a few others that are popping up now. And again, one other thing that Finland is known for is our games industry. So we have, you know, okay, not only Angry Birds that I used to work on for many years as the Mighty Eagle, but we have Supercell, we have Small Giant, we have a lot of very, very successful games companies. We have the highest density of talent when it comes to games. But when we bring fantastic education, you know, learning together with fantastic games, I think that there is really nothing that you can't learn from games. And maybe one thing here, you know, many times, you know, parents are concerned that, oh, but hey, you know, like my kids are wasting all their time like playing games. I would argue that, okay, yeah, it's one way of looking at it, that you're just like wasting time. But always, no matter what game you play, you know, be it, you know, Big Ear or another game, you're always learning something. Okay, then is it a useful skill in life? That you can always debate. But I always use the example from many, many years back that here in Finland, and we've done studies since, I don't know, the 70s, 80s or something like that, that boys speak better English than girls. And the reason for that is that boys play more games. The games are in English, so they have to learn the English language in order to play the games, in order to have fun. So the motivation and the fun is there. And okay, now it has started to even up, because it used to be that boys played a lot more games than girls, but now it's fortunately, you know, like both genders play games. But I think it's an example of the fact that it's not like the boys set out to learn to speak better English, but it actually kind of like happens by accident as a side effect. And I think that this is with fun learning, and especially fun learning games, that you're not even realizing that you are learning. So you're just having fun, you're enjoying, you're playing the game. And then maybe one thing here also, now we talked a lot about, you know, like, or the more like formal education, teachers, schools, all of that. But what is also happening now is that you could say that learning is getting out of control. So you can learn wherever you happen to be, with your, you know, mobile device, your phone, your tablet, whatever. And that means that a lot of this is happening outside of school, outside of kind of like the formal environment. And this is something that is very, very powerful, and I think will also change how we learn. So it's about the school, and, you know, then facilitated by great teachers, and we really need to invest even more into the teachers, but then also augmenting and supporting the teachers with great tools like big year games and other, you know, games, other tools. So technology is not like a substitute for great teachers or, you know, great learning, but it can help, it can facilitate, and we can provide fantastic learning at scale. So I think this is also like a good kind of like an important thing to note here. And also, I mean, now anybody, you know, there in Turkey or wherever people happen to be, you can just go to the App Store, the Play Store, and you can find Big Ear, and you can download it, and you can start learning how to make music. And there is very little friction, very little, you know, like in between you and getting, you know, into learning music and getting into playing a fun game. And I think that this is a fantastic opportunity that we really should take even come out further. So we want to bring fun learning everywhere, and we have fantastic distribution mechanism through games, through the app stores. So yeah, I really encourage, you know, like you there, wherever you happen to kind of like be tuned into the discussion we're having here with Aviv, but, you know, like check it out, and then you'll see for yourself. But yeah, what do you think, Aviv? Now, if you're like a parent and you want, okay, maybe you want to make music yourself, but then, you know, like to get your kids into making music. So do you have any kind of like good suggestions, ideas on where to start?
Yes, that's always a very important question for quite many parents that are interested in music education for their kids. As I mentioned before, the focus is so much on the instrument, right? Which means technically how to play it, and the product is like the songs that you learn. Usually, you know, songs that you know, or maybe that your teacher thinks that you should know, etc. But music is much more than that, right? Music is not only the instrument. The instrument is just a tool. It's an instrument, right? Again. And how music works, the composition part, you know, all this logic of music, that's something that is super important for anyone that starts their journey in music. And many people or kids are doing it unconsciously, right? So if you think about it, that you decided that your child will learn piano or guitar, right? These are the two most common instruments, or whatever instrument it was. You will notice very early, and that's the interesting, that it's coming very early, that they try to play their own things on the instrument, which means like to improvise, right? And I think that's something so strong in us that we want to express ourselves, you know, not just to play a song that we know, which is great, but also to express ourselves through the instrument. And if you don't know the how music work part, right, the logic, which is not like a huge big deal, you are actually quite handicapped, right? So you are in chains, you know, and you are trying to do something. So one thing that came with my experience is that give them, even if they are very small, give them the very basic logic of how this instrument or music at the end of the day is working. And so then they can do this improvisation or expression part in a more educated way, let's say, or more wise, or they have more tools to work it out, and then it sounds better, and then they feel much better. So the satisfaction factor is happening. And so I definitely think that this is something, and that's the whole story about Big Ear. We don't focus on how to play an instrument, but we focus on more, you know, the music itself. We have even a piano, a virtual piano there that you can play, or you can connect it to your digital piano, etc. And of course, we have instruments there, like the sounds of instruments, so you can play like a guitar virtually, etc. But the most important part is the getting to know music, and also getting to know the sounds, what we call the timbre music, or the feeling of the quality of each sound. Let's say violin versus guitar, acoustic guitar versus electric guitar, bass, drums versus hand drums. So when you are exposed to that before you are actually choosing the instruments that you would like to play, if you would like to play an instrument, then your decisions, either the parents or the kids, are much more educated decisions, which makes the success of the musical learning journey of you or of your children more successful. And this has a huge impact. Why? A failure of learning to play instruments of kids is about 80%. Can you believe it? Something that is supposed to be fun, right? And happy and making everybody around you happy, have about 80% failure rate. So a child that started playing an instrument, to learn to play an instrument at his early age, whatever it was, 80% of those are going to leave this journey at around the teenage, more or less, right? And never come back to it, which is they will always say afterwards, I learned piano when I was a child. Can you play for us something? And no, I don't think so, right? Mm-hmm. Horrible. So this is one thing. If we talk about how music works, which many times it's called music theory, right? Which is far from theory, it's very practical. It's even higher there, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like almost ridiculous. So that's something that I wanted to say to you, Peter, as an answer, you know, like we want to engage them with music even before they touch an instrument. So when they come to the instruments, they are like, wow, okay, I know already something and I want to do it now on the instrument. This would be awesome. Then they would have a big, big advantage over people that maybe did not have that. One more thing that I would like to say, Peter, about what you mentioned about this continuous environment or space of learning, right? So we have school, and in school you have the classroom, you have the corridor, you have the library, you have the schoolyard. Then you might have it at home, right? And then you have the youth house, etc. Mm-hmm. Learning is happening everywhere already. And the idea is to really connect the dots, right? To allow you to continue wherever you are. So that's one thing. The other thing is the community. Mm-hmm. Kids today are learning a lot from their peers, okay? And a lot of peer learning is happening already in a more serious way also. For example, in Coursera, Khan Academy, etc. People are learning more from their peers than from their official teachers, that are leading the course. And so that's something that is also very, very important for us. I think also music is a great example of community, right? Like, I mean, people going to concerts together, they talk about music, they dance together, etc. And that's what we also bring into our game, but not only in the social media, trying to engage people in the conversations that we look like it's not too academic, but on the other hand, there's a lot of learning happening, right? And this is something that I think maybe for example, for the education system might look a bit too much right now, but it's already happening. And we have, for example, we have one district in California, in the USA, that we are working on implementing the game. It's already in the schools. But what we are working on is to work like a school, library, and family, okay, in the community sense. So when they will get the licenses for our, as the school, yeah, as a school district, the licenses are also covering the whole family, right, automatically, and the libraries, etc. So that's the first place where we actually try to implement it, you know, from the educational department initiative, which is awesome. So I think it starts happening. People start understanding that. Now in the Corona times, we noticed, for example, how important it is that the parents will be involved with the learning processes of the school at home, right? And this was super nice. And then we learned also that sometimes it's not really working. And the question is, okay, how can we bring it together? Big Year Games is about music, but it's not only about music. It's also about computational thinking, logics, and math, and community, and social/personal.
Yeah, and I think that this is a very important point that, I mean, then you might wonder, oh, you're like only talking about music, but what about like all of education? And I think that, again, yes, it's about music, but then when you start thinking about music, it's actually, music is like code. So you can learn computational thinking. So we are starting to see now music and math working together, which I think is like fantastic. And that is also very good to kind of like blur the borders, blur the lines between the different subjects. So why not combine music and math as one example? And I think that we have many other examples where you can do that, because again, it's not about learning a particular like subject, particular topic, but it's to learn about, you know, how things work together. And that's again where we come to this, that you learn for life, not for tests. And I think this is again a strength of kind of like the approach and what we see here in Finland all the time, that it really is about applying what you're learning to real world problems. And this is something that again, you know, why not combine music and math, like in this example. And I think this is something that, again, should happen a lot more. Again, we get into some challenges always in the formal like educational system, where teachers are very jealous of their own like subject typically. But I think that it's something that we also need to work on everywhere. So, you know, here in Finland, in Turkey, all over the place. So that's something that is important for the kids. So I think that we need to make sure that our young people learn what they need in life, and that they learn how to solve like real world problems in a creative way. And that is something that maybe, you know, also talking about the educational system here, that if nothing else, it doesn't kill creativity, it doesn't kill initiative. And that's kind of like what is very important, that we need to be all of us kind of like entrepreneurial and be able to kind of like tackle the real world problems, and not, you know, like problems that we learned for a test or something like that.
Yes, Peter, I totally agree. I think that the integrative attitude is super important today, especially in this global world that is also modern in the way that in workplaces today, you are actually expected to be more than what you are on paper for the company, right? We see it every day with our employees that are asked to jump into, to change their hat and to jump into a designer role, etc. And I think it's, we cannot overestimate it, right? It's like super important. And I think for kids in school, if we can teach them that attitude of integration and show them always in a very practical way, right? That they can understand and see the results. This is something that should definitely be in the front line, right? Of what we want to achieve with them, or as the goal. I think the more complex you go, you need to be integrative, and you need to have, let's say, a minimal depth of knowledge or understanding, or call it what you want, of the subject. I can tell you, if you remember when I was presenting myself, I said that I started with the computer sciences and becoming a doctor, then music, etc. Like you might say, okay, wow, that's too much, right? No, it's not too much, and I'm using it every day. We are now in California again, trying to make with the Media Association, it's a music association in the USA, a big project in a children's hospital, doing some music therapy project there. And that's where my doctor is, of course, jumping also into the direction, etc. So we cannot underestimate this. And I think also what we said before about learning in steps, or how shall I call it, like in the spiral attitude. So you learn very early, you learn it in a very high level, and then the next year a bit deeper, the same subject, a bit deeper, or concept, a bit deeper and deeper. Yeah. That's something that make people better learners, actually, right? Because it showed them actually that, wow, I can apply now what I learned last year in a bit deeper way. There's some kind of progress here, right? So this is something that is super important also. And I think that's exactly what we try to do with big ear games. And I think in Finland, we have this attitude overall quite common. So I really come out now here with a call for action from all of the audience here. If you have any idea or any wish to integrate what we do with what you do, like music and math, music and social affairs in your school, etc. Even sciences in general, like physics, it also works. Please go ahead and contact us. We will be happy to collaborate and to talk more.
Yeah, and there was already a question in the chat, and I also answered that basically, if you want to access the Big Ear game, you can find it in both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. So that's a good start. But also, if you go to bigeargames.com, you can find all the contact details and how to reach out to Aviv, or you can reach me as well. And I think that again, I think Aviv, you also always share this story about the mom that came home to find her, was it boy or girl playing a song on the piano
in China? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe you want to share that, because I think that is a great example, like for all the parents in the audience, on like how kind of like magical the experience can be. So maybe you want to share that one.
Yes, this is actually an unforgettable story. We were in China, and one of our friends there, Merlin, got the app for his child that was back at the day like 4 years old. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, I will show him and we will play around a little bit for fun, and I think he would like it. when we met him the next time, he told us an amazing story that one day when he came back home, his child was playing on his small piano, like this electric piano, a song from the game that he never learned to play, right?
Yeah.
So that means that, the dots are connected here so strongly, even if you are not, emphasizing it for them. Yeah. And this is the great thing. This is the place where we know, okay, it's connected. It's encouraging those youngsters, even so young, already to go and to try to play and to actually be able to play it. That's awesome because it's by the ear, right?
Yeah.
So that's this
is exactly what we want to, of course, see happen. That you're just having fun, you're enjoying what you're doing, and you're learning. So again, there is no reason why learning shouldn't be fun. And I think that there's really nothing that we can't learn by play and learn, by playing games. But this is something that we need to get a lot better at. And it really is important that we bring together the best pedagogues, the best game designers, and we work together on that. But as Aviv said, of course, I'd love to do even more in Istanbul, in Turkey in general. So again, you can start by downloading the game. That's like super easy. But then if you're a teacher, more than happy to come to your school and share our experiences and then also connecting you with the team here in Finland, but also more than happy to connect then with parents and teachers and anybody interested in then improving education in Turkey. So I think that we can start with music, but we have a lot of other solutions that we could work on together. And you also have very strong education in Turkey. So I have many friends from over there, and always comparing notes about like the educational systems and all that. But I think that we can learn a lot by working together, and again with the big year game, it's very easy to get started, and we have quite a few others as well. We have Scion games here in Finland. They're doing this game that will teach you about how vaccinations work. So this is also very important in these pandemic times, that people actually understand that vaccinations are based on like science. And it's perfectly safe, and it's something that is highly recommended that you actually get vaccinated. So I think that we can all agree with that in these like pandemic times. But it's again a great example of how we are working together with the World Health Organization, using this Scion game to show how vaccinations work and kind of like remove this anti-vaccination attitude, because many people are afraid of what they don't know, and they might not have learned at school how vaccinations actually work. So then you can learn that by playing a game. So I think that is, and the game in this case is called Antidote. So you can also find that in the App Store. But I think that it's a great example of, maybe not the first thing that you think of, like, okay, how could we get people more aware of how vaccinations work? Okay, why not do that through a game? And I think that the very nice thing with games, that we have the distribution mechanisms with the app stores and all that. So it's very, very easy to, go there, download the game and get started, and then learn whatever might be like the topic that you're into, and before you know it, you learned a lot while having fun, and maybe not even realizing that you are learning. So I think this is something that is very, very important to kind of like to work on.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else that you want to add?
Yes, I just would like to mention that we have also an educational version of the game, where where teachers can create their own classrooms virtually in the game, and invite students there and give them tasks, specific tasks, etc., and follow up on that for the evaluation. So the game could work also very well for evaluating general music skills. We developed this, and it's working already in the USA. We collaborated with the Lang Lang International Music Foundation, and we are working in 60 schools in the USA at the moment, where they use this educational version, which is great for the teachers. And one of the main feedback or positive feedback points were that it's not only good for teaching difficult things that are usually difficult to teach, but also to evaluate them, which is a great advantage. So please connect with me to get, for example, the coupon codes, etc., for activation of this educational version.
Yeah, and there was already a comment by Hassal in the chat that loving the compose and share feature, and that's actually one thing that with the Big Ear game, that you can actually you can create your own songs and you can share them with the community. You can work together with other people on the songs, so they can download, improve, change, remix, whatever they want to do with the song. So you're also creating this community around making music, and that is something that is also very, very powerful, that you can make music together. So I think that that is an important skill. Also, as we all know, in working life, that typically you can't do everything, all by yourself, but you typically need to work with others. So that is a skill that we can also, learn then by making music together. We learn how to collaborate, how to work with a team. So, you start by thinking, that it's only music, but actually, as we just said, it's about math, it's about computational thinking, it's about collaboration, negotiation, all of these important, very, very important life skills. And I think that this is, again, no reason why you couldn't learn all of that by just playing a game. And I think this is, again, why fun learning is such a powerful approach. And that's something that we're working on a lot over here with Big Ear, with many other companies. I mentioned Cyan Games, we had Fun Academy here, we have Skill Grower, we have a lot of very exciting companies, exciting services when it comes to learning, and not only learning in school. I mean, as a parent, you can also access these things directly, but I think learning is happening everywhere, and I think we need to build solutions that you can use at school, or at the bus stop waiting for the bus, or at home. So that's very important. And what Aviv also touched on already, that we're living in a world where we're constantly bombarded with various messages, and people are trying to get our attention all the time. And I think that we can learn a lot from the entertainment industry, the games industry, on how to get that attention, how to get people to spend their precious time with you. And I think that we are always competing for that attention, for that time. And we can learn a lot from the entertainment and the games industry in particular, like coming from now the educational side, that if we can create learning experiences that are, and actually it's not an if, we have to create learning experiences that are as good as the best games, as the best movies. Otherwise, we're not going to win, this like educational game. So it's really, really important to do that. And the good news is that we have many people working on that, but there's still a lot of work to do, but there's a lot of opportunity out there. And we said it many times already, would love to work more with all of you in Istanbul, in Turkey, in the region. So once we get through this, pandemic, then can resume travel, and wouldn't be surprised if you find me and Aviv visiting Istanbul in the not too distant future. So we're looking forward to that. So I think we're kind of like beyond our like allocated time already. So we're supposed to stop like at 10 to. But once again, it was really good to have the opportunity to share kind of like our thoughts about education, at least like a little bit, and a lot of things around music with the Big Ear game. So again, you should really go and download it, and let us know what you think. You can reach Aviv. Just go to bigyear.games.com or any of the social media. There's some fantastic content on TikTok. So of course, encourage all of you to follow Big Year on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter. So that's something that encourage all of you to do. But I think that we're done. Or anything you want to add, Aviv, close or we're all done?
No, I think I just welcome you all to try it and to connect with us if you want to try also the educational version or to collaborate with us in a project. I would like to mention also that there's an opportunity for investors to join our mission here. So if there are any investors or partnerships that could be leading us or helping us to go forward, especially in Turkey, it will be awesome. So welcome to connect with us.
Very good. So we're done. Thank you all and see you around.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Girişimcilik ekosistemi İstanbul Büyükşehir Belediyesi ile harekete geçiyor. 1 Temmuz Perşembe günü dijital ikili görüşmelerde benzersiz bir deneyim yaşa, yeni insanlarla tanış, fikirlerini paylaş, işini ve ağını geliştir. Hareketegeçir.com